get ready, get ready. It's Let's Talk Business with Cheryl J. Cusseau. It is the 5th hour of our show. Normally it's show on the go because there are only maybe 4 fifth Wednesdays of the year. But today is part 2. As we celebrate National Women's History Month, we were blessed to have 2 phenomenal trailblazers, our sheroes, on the show just 2 weeks ago with my co-host Diva J, and they're returning back because you heard about them, you heard them share about their families, and one of my takeaways comes from Miss Williams, but we'll come back to that in just a moment. But joining us on the show today, again, Miss Geraldine Williams, Esquire.
Hello.
Look at her. And the fact that I can say that lets you know that she has spent a number of years in educational institutions and then in the professional arena in order to be able to craft her profession in such a way that none of us would ever be able to experience. So we get to glean from all of that, starting with public schools, on to, she scared us when she started talking about those Gators, University of Florida in Gainesville, went back, did some work, came back into corporate, did a little corporate work. She was writing as a journalist. After securing that degree, she would go on to HBCU, Clark University, with her master's degree. But that's Geraldine. There was more for her to do. And so she went on to Florida State to earn her Doctor of Juris degree. Juris Doctor is what they call it. Esquire, welcome to the show, Miss Williams.
Thank you. Thank you.
Look at that beautiful smile. Now, next to her would be our second guest, and we're going to lead in with both of them. But after I introduce you to her, you've met her, you know that she is a retired professor. Again, more schooling, an educator. She is an accomplished author, and we're here about the 2 books, 3 books, 4 books. These ladies are authors in their own right. Ms. Williams said to us, she's a griot, G-R-I-O-T, in case you don't know what that is. She is a professional storyteller. Welcome to both of you. Welcome, Yvonne McShay, to the show again.
Well, thank you.
You both are more than welcome. But listening to our radio listening audience, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for taking your lunch break with us. Whether you're seeing us on In Touch News via the website or the Facebook page or Let's Talk Business Facebook page, you'll certainly be able to catch the show in its entirety on YouTube as well. So we want to make sure that you like and share so that our 2 Women History Month trailblazers videos will go all over the world because they are phenomenal. I wanted you all to know, prior to coming on, I was chatting with the both of them, and they both are storytellers. I tell you, I just love them both. And we were talking about our hair. They both have some interesting stories. And the reason we were talking about hair is we were talking about, as we go through, this is the Holy Week leading up to Resurrection Sunday. And most of us can remember our Easter dresses and dressing up and spending time with our families and all of those things that you did that you loved with your family. But when it came to the sisters, it was all about getting your hair done. Now, my grandmother they called them beauticians at the time. My grandfather built her hair salon onto the home. So we had the pleasure of being around women and getting their hair done every single week. So ladies, what was it like in getting your hair done for your best Easter look? What about you, Ms. Williams?
I can recall that my mother had a family member to do my hair for Easter. And so that meant that I had graduated from having it done at the beauty parlor, because if I had it done at the beauty parlor, I'd have to sit up all night so that the candy curls would not be squashed. Everything had to be look like the ringlets were fresh. But she had a family member who would straighten it and curl it very early Easter morning.
Oh my goodness.
I wouldn't have to stay up all night and I could get a night's sleep. But in addition to the hair was complemented by pretty dresses, very colorful dresses with crinoline slips under them. Oh, we had it going on. And I think it was Patty Page who sang something about the Easter Bunny and walking down Fifth Avenue, and we would be in the Easter parade, and we would have to say our speeches at church after about 3 o'clock after dinner. So the hair was very important because that was the beauty for the girls.
It was indeed. And I'm almost jealous that you were able to have your own personal stylist, because you didn't have to go to bed like this.
That's right.
And wake up the next morning with a crook in your neck. And so let's just segue right over to you, Miss Shay. Okay. What was getting that Easter hairdo or look like for you?
Well, it was an all-day affair because we had a family member who had a salon in East Jacksonville. We lived on the north side. And so, of course, she would do our hair for free, but she worked us in between her other customers. And it was an all-day affair sitting there getting those candy curls. And she would go all the way to the scalp, and you could feel the heat from the curling irons, but she never did burn our scalp, never. And those curls would just fall down. I don't remember so much having problems sleeping, but I do know the next day, that's when the candy curls were really pretty. They were loose. I guess you put them in rather tight. And then the next day they were loose. And of course, we had bangs and, like Geraldine say, the pretty colorful dresses and the crinoline slips or socks with lace on them. We went through the whole process. We were just so beautiful on Easter Sunday, as well as other Sundays. But Easter Sunday was always special. And then we would go back in the afternoon for the Easter parade and to do our speeches. And I'll never forget, my church was Mount Area Baptist Church in Jacksonville.
Okay.
It was a rather large church, but back in the day, he operated the way churches should operate. I still carry many of those principles and values with me today.
I can see that. I hear it in your voice, and as well the expression on your face. But as I listen to both of you, because we're talking about history, and that's what you all have been sharing with us from the first show. And here again, you're inside of our homes and our offices, and you're talking about the things we had to go through to look the way we look on Easter Sunday. Now, I didn't hear you all mention the kitchen. So I'm thinking your hair was just so good that when the straightening comb went through with that pressing oil, and it was that pressing oil that made you feel like that heat was lighting up your scalp, because it was that, is what we call it, hair grease.
Yep.
I can remember my experience. There were 4 girls in our home, and if my grandmother wasn't doing the hair, my mom and the oldest sister, God rest her soul, my sister Bernadine, would have to help out. So the one that got their hair done first would have to help the next one, and then so on and so forth. But man, we had to hold the ears down, and the whole time you're in that chair going, and then when they got to that kitchen, I think they call it the nap, but we called it the kitchen. But because this is what we had to do. My mother, the youngest one, whichever one was sitting below her, would have to take a brown paper bag, a grocery store bag, and would have to tear that bag into strips. I didn't hear you all talk about that. So I'm thinking you had it going on.
Well,
because y'all had people that y'all knew. But we had to take the paper bag, tear it into strips, and then twist it, and then curl our hair into sections. You may have seen that look on Buckwheat, on Little Rascals, but once you curled it, you had to tie it in a knot. And that's how you could put a bonnet of somewhat, a pillowcase, on your head. And then the next morning, this was before we could go to the hair salon and get the candy curls. My mom would hold that curl in place, take that paper curl out and snatch it down. And then that spiral will create that candy curl. And then you have to put a little bit of weight so you can get a little hang time. But that's what we went through. And so that was great. For the girls today, you don't have to go through all of that. You can just go and buy the candy curls and stick them on your head and call it a day. My mother was a seamstress. And so same thing, she taught all of us to sew. She would cut out one pattern and we just go down the row. And she made all of those beautiful dresses that we got to wear year after year. So God rest her soul as well. So that's us digressing with what the Easter go to church Sunday dressing experience was like in order for us to look just as cute as we could. I only have we got 2 pairs of shoes, a black pair for Christmas and a white pair for Easter. And that was it. As for, those were your church shoes and you couldn't wear them any other place unless you were on program somewhere else.
That's right.
But ladies, Miss Shaw, take us through, and I didn't go through it because I wanted you to share with us. Take us through from your high school experience on to your college experience so that our readers will get to hear from you as they did Miss Williams.
Oh my. High school through college experience. Well, for sure I had a good time in high school and college. And I think my reading started maybe in elementary school. I went to Johnny Ford Elementary School. It's near the big post office in Jacksonville. Okay. And the librarians would have a reading contest every year. And from what my father had told us, everything you need to know is in a book. We all were readers. And so oftentimes, I know 2 or 3 times I won that reading contest at school. And we would get a certificate for the number of books that we have read. And when I got to high school, I went to New Stanton Senior High School, which was the school. And I say that because anyone who went to A&M knows about New Stanton. All of our band members, it seems like they just rotated into the Marching 100. But anyway, I enjoyed learning, and my favorite teachers were always my English teachers, and maybe that's why I became one. It appeared that it always seemed like I was learning something new, and that was exciting to me. And again, excuse me, we would read and have a conference with the teacher, go up to the desk and have a conference with the teacher and go through those 5 elements of a novel with the teacher. And I just fell in love with reading and learning. However, I was never one who wanted to necessarily make the honor roll or be in the honor society. But if I wanted to make the honor roll, I would do it. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, I participated in the, I think on the school yearbook staff and yearbook staff and a couple of other organizations in high school. Oh, I was in the high school chorus. Okay. And went to college on a choral scholarship to Edward Waters. I also received one at A&M, but I thought it would be best if I stayed home because I knew we didn't have a lot of money and it would take more than tuition to go to college. So I went to Edward Waters and I was alto in the college choir. And we did a lot of traveling all over the southeastern United States, up to the Northeast, to the Bahamas, So that was quite an experience to have travels like that in high school and in college. I'll never forget the first time I went to the Bahamas. I was in the 11th grade, and I think we went over to sing for the bishop. And Mrs. Alpha Hayes Moore was the choir director, and we had more fun. It was a week, 4 days in the Bahamas as high school kids. Now we're talking about 1961, because I was in the 11th grade when that happened. um, at the college level, again, I was in the choir, and we traveled a lot, and like I say, we went all over the southeast United States, some certain parts of the northeast, as well as the Bahamas again to sing for the bishop. I was in. We didn't have sororities at that time on Edward Waters campus, but they had fraternities. But we had girls' clubs, and I was in one of the clubs. I um, my daughters laugh at me because I say almost every year it seemed like I was somebody's queen, but and that was always fun because we had big parades, and we would have a homecoming parade downtown Jacksonville, and I was in the Thespians. I just had fun. I just had fun. Had a lot of fun.
It sounds like you did.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm listening to the both of you. And so your stories are so similar when you talk about your fathers and the influence that they had on your lives. And it makes you want to look at our children today and ask, please sit down at the table with your parents if you can. Shut the cell phones, your devices off, and just engage in conversation about your day. And Ms. Williams, I love what you said when your parents would ask questions, open-ended questions where you had to answer, and you had to answer sometimes with a solution to a problem. And so I see the similarities in both of you, the journalism, the writing. You decided to author a book. Miss Michelle, let me ask you. So you graduated from college. When did you decide you wanted to be a professor?
Well, I don't know. Because I taught high school for about 18, 19 years.
Bless your heart.
And then I decided I need something different. And I applied, believe it or not. They called that summer, and I got the job at Polk State College. And at Polk, I stayed there for I retired from Polk State College after 18-year tenure. Of course, you know, when you work at the college, you do a lot of things. And at each level, you teach more classes. The lower the level, the more classes you teach. Like we were professors at the community college level, we had to teach 5 classes. Maybe at the state college, it was 3 classes. Maybe at the university, maybe the professor taught 2 classes. But I never knew that until I got into higher education. And I worked at the college for 18 years, and that's where I retired from Polk State College.
Well, congratulations, because you ladies are still active today. So, Ms. Cheryl, let me go. And you all know, we've introduced her as Ms. Geraldine Williams. I knew her as Ms. Geraldine Williams Shaw. So if it comes out, it just slips out. But Ms. Williams, I wanted to ask you, because we wanted to get into your professions of both of you. And then we also wanted to talk to you about your legacy. But I wanted to ask you a question. It's one that my co-host asked, Diva J, who is not with us today. But she would always ask, what would you want people to know most about your life? Ms. Williams?
I think it's important for people to know that I was positioned to be a first. However, that means that there were others who were to follow. So I positioned myself to do whatever I could to bring others along. And being first is okay. I'm happy. But being the only, it's an issue for me. Now that's the way I see it. Others may see it differently. But I think that then it's an opportunity to give a handout to say, you come along too. You may not come along the same way that I did, but you want to come along. Maybe it was 2 years ago. I was at the University of Florida with Johnsina McRae, who had been the first African American, is the first African American female to graduate undergraduate school there. And then she was a year ahead of me. And it was, I think I mentioned this, that we went into a restaurant and we looked around, we had to wait, and we looked around and we saw all these Black students. And I said to her, Jensina, they're all our children. And that's a profound statement, because what good would it have done for me to have gone there to be a first and not have others to follow? And so anyone who says that they're in journalism school, interestingly, there are young people who will stand in line to speak to me, to say thank you, and they are crying. Not just have tears in there, they are crying. And I'm like, okay, no, we know you must have gone through a lot. I did.
Yes.
But the interesting thing is they're not all Black. And they acknowledge, of course they have to, because I see them. And I'm like, what is your issue? No, they may be an other, from another ethnic group other than Anglo. And they said, but what you did is you opened doors for us too. And you opened doors for my Black friends. And so I would want people to know that I extended a handout. Now, let me tell you, extending that handout is not always safe. And I wonder about the efficacy of having done it, but I did. I listened to Miss Mandela, and she was saying she wanted the world to know about her husband, Nelson Mandela. And he was in prison. She told us why he was in prison, for his ideas, and he's African and all. We need to free Mandela, and and I thought, wow, I think I need to do something to help him. I didn't go right away, but when they had the election, then I said, I want to go. And people throughout the state of Florida sent money, and then one legislator from Jacksonville went to a lobbyist and said, give that woman the whole amount that she's supposed to have to go. And so that was on top of what others had said, because I was on boards and commissions and committees all over. So they were helping me to go. And I wasn't going to start a business. I wasn't going to make some money. I wasn't going to displace anybody. I was responding to what I thought was a need. And I was going with my bag of tricks from having been born and raised African American in the United States of America. I said, they're going through Reconstruction. And we have just kind of sort of come through the 60s. And so there's some things that I can share. And that's very important. Now, I was not hired to go. I was not appointed to go. I was not a part of any unit that was paying for my presence there. So what does that say? It says what I said before, is that I was leaning and depending on the Lord. I said, now look,
right.
I'm going to do your work. So now I'm telling you, I want you to take care of me. Boy, I tell you, he pays attention. When I approach him, I don't know about anybody else. I'm just saying, this is my experience. He took care of me. I never, ever thought, I went to work, right? I went to see what I could do. And so I said that through the African American Episcopal Church, the AME Church, I would find a group, because we're talking about multi-millions of Africans. I couldn't help everybody. So I found my niche. That's what I will do. And instead of going to church in downtown Johannesburg, no, I'm going to church in Soweto. And I did. And I had my little group and I worked with them and I went to the people, and I learned this at the University of Florida. I went to the people with the money and the people with the resources and said, give it up. Give me the resources and the money to do something to help these young people. Here's my plan. And they bought into it. And I was able to work with those children the entire time that I was there. And I praise God for giving me a chance to share with them what I had experienced, not just the children, because I did not go to babysit somebody's children. So the parents had to be involved too. But what happened is at the church, I had we were the jamming juniors, and we had the rocking seniors. The older people, they were enjoying because I started teaching Sunday school, and I'm not a teacher. I wish I were, but I am not a teacher. But I like studying. Nobody was teaching them Sunday school, so I would get on the highway at 7 o'clock, pick up the food, go over to the church. The children would be waiting for me. We would have a jamming good time.
Well, you know what? You are allowing us to have a jamming good time just listening to you. And I'm pausing because we're going to take a minute and break for a commercial. So I want you to think about that. I love hearing what you said. And you, I believe, can write a book on just how to ask for what you want. You remind me of Bob Sanders when he said he just went up to the first floor of the corporation and knocked on the president's door. He didn't want a mediator. He didn't want a behind the scenes person, a gatekeeper. He just went and knocked the door down. And sometimes that's what you have to do. And I can say thank you on behalf of 3 of our children who, because of you, were able to enter and attend University of Florida. But we're going to break away for commercial, and then we're going to come back and hear about your legacy, Yvonne McShay. Back in a moment.
All righty.
2 minutes, ladies.
Call in and tell a friend to listen in.
Listen up.
It's In Touch Radio, reality radio.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard, so you don't need to start foraging wild berries.
I was skeptical, but these are actually pretty good.
You don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all gotta see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
We're playing your favorite old school. Today's R&B. With a smooth touch of jazz. You're listening to In Touch Radio.
All right, and we are back. Listening to our heroes, 2 trailblazers. I did want to ask you, Miss Williams, you've been blessed to live through 7 decades. How old were you when you decided to take the trip to Africa?
I must have been in my late 40s because I celebrated my 50th birthday there. So I must have been in my late 40s when I went over there. And I had quite a bit of experience and success behind me. I had been so blessed. I just wanted to go and bless some others. And
all right, when I heard you asking about those different businesses supporting you, and I'm thinking, my goodness, she has perfected that. You're philanthropist in your own right, and so you know how to go in and garner the support from corporations to get done what you need to get done. Mm-hmm. And for that, we say thank you, because that's what a lot of us need as we work with nonprofits today, and getting that buy-in and helping people to see the value of what you want to do, but not for yourself, in order to be able to help someone else. And what an experience. Cannot wait for your memoir to be finished. Cannot wait. You'll be back on the show to talk to us about it.
Thank you.
Yvonne McShay.
Yes, ma'am.
Legacy.
Well, first, I'd like to say to Jerry, I know that young lady that you mentioned who went to the University of Florida. We are sisters in another organization. Yeah. And she is amazing. She is amazing.
I'm telling you, you guys are kin woven. You just have to keep talking.
Yeah.
You're gonna find something down the line.
Yeah. I kind of live by the quote, be the change you want to see. Oh. I've never been afraid to speak up, walk up, whatever it took to get ahead. I wasn't afraid to do that if it meant helping others. So I've lived by that, I think, just about all my life. And I really do it in the community. When I see my community needs something, I speak up, maybe get some others who may think the same way, who enjoy the same things, or sometimes I have to introduce people to it. Yes. And we get projects completed. But someone has to be the one to speak up. And so often I've been that person. Now, with my second book, Our Lakeland, that's basically how that came about. I lived in Lakeland for a while, and I saw all these great things that people were doing, but not really being recognized for what they were doing. You know, we work, but we don't work to be recognized. We work because we see that the job needs doing. So my job in that was, it needed to be documented. Somebody else need to read these stories. Our children need to read these stories so they will know about these wonderful people from Northwest Lakeland. And so that's how my second book came about. And it has been very successful.
Yes.
People really liked it. And then a lady suggested to me, someone made suggestions and I could adjust, I would. She said, you know, your bookmark need to really highlight where Lakeland is on Florida's map. So I did that. And then another lady suggested, an elementary teacher, that I add a study section to the book for the students with answers. So I did that. And I've had a couple of parents to tell me that their children did book reports on the book and got an A. You know, it's not challenging reading. You know, even our newspapers are written on the 7th or 8th grade level. But anyone can pick up the book, I think, anyone who's a good reader and read it and come away with a great understanding of the people in the community who has contributed through the years to make it a better place. You know, we do it a little differently now in certain areas. Some areas still have a lot of Black businesses, but we don't have a lot of Black businesses in Lakeland, but we hear about what used to be. So what do you have now? Let's celebrate whatever it is you have now. And Our Lakeland helps to celebrate those wonderful, wonderful leaders in the community.
That's beautiful.
The last project I've worked on, being the change I want to see, is I felt that we needed a African American History Center in Lakeland. Well, you know, sometimes when you're dealing in politics, it doesn't happen just like you want it. But what we will have is Lakeland's History and Culture Center,
okay,
which is huge. And they are presently doing the construction on that now. So sometime all we need to do is just observe where we are,
yes,
evaluate what we hear, and put it together to see how I can help my community. So I am just so proud of the things that we are doing in Lakeland. But it's important that we observe, speak up, and encourage others to get involved as well. And I think my legacy would be, I hear so many young people saying, we don't have any Black English teachers. We don't have any Black English teachers. So that was one of the things I did when I went to the college. I encouraged young people to major in English, because if we don't tell them, they won't know. Although it's not a lot of money, it just depends on where you're working and what level you're working, you can make good money. But and every year, I think I got someone to major in English every year. But, you know, it's a slow process, but they will see someone who looks like them in that English class. So I think that's about it.
Oh, that's a lot. You downplayed the library.
Well, I forgot about the library. I forgot about the library. Yes, we needed a branch library. And when my friend Larry Jackson, William Jardine, you may know him, attorney Larry Jackson.
I know of him.
Yeah, he's no longer with us. Yes, okay. Well, he was an avid reader. I guess most lawyers are avid readers.
Yes.
And Larry and I became friends, and we got to talking about it. And he said, I'd like for you to work with me on this project. And when I found out it was a library, I thought, well, why not? When I was in elementary school, back to Johnny Ford, when I used to go to win those reading contests in elementary school, the branch library was across the street from the school. We would go on field trips. Now, I'm way up there in my 70s. So you know how long ago that was, if that was the place we went for field trips in elementary school. And I thought, and we don't have one here? Larry, I would gladly work with you on this project. And it took us 10 years.
Wow.
10 years of pleading, money being appropriated, taken, put in another pot, but we didn't stop. You have to be determined if you want to see a change. And we do have the branch library, and after Larry's death, they changed the name from the Northwest.
Yes.
Because that's the community I live in, the Northwest, to the Larry Jackson Branch Library. And it is beautiful. If you ever come into Lakeland, it's about, well, you've been to my house, about 2 blocks south of my house. It's a beautiful library. Now, it's not like y'all Sanders Library.
No.
But I think our cultural center will have a flair of that, because we came over on a field trip for the take a look at that, and it's beautiful. It is so beautiful, so very, very beautiful. But ours will be beautiful too, and I will invite you all to come over when we have the ribbon cutting or whatever the celebration, because they've already started on the construction of it. I'll have to invite you all over. Also, I'm going to be like Geraldine, maybe send you a brochure. Maybe you can contribute to it, because we're raising money. The city only put in so much, you know, but I look at it like this. If everybody gives $1, look what you got. And we're talking about $1. Look what you have. So I'm very pleased with the Larry Jackson Branch Library, that project from that. And it's oh Lord. We were told that no one would come. It's packed all the time. It's packed.
Well,
you build it, the people will come. And they have used that Larry Jackson Library. And now with the Culture Center going into our main library, where's the traffic going now? To the Larry Jackson Library.
yes.
The orders will be coming from the Larry Jackson Library, you know? So I'm just so pleased with how others have bought into some of the ideas that we have, you know, or I'm sure I'm not the only one with the idea, but I'm kind of like Larry Jackson. I'll speak up for it, you know, so we need people who will speak up as well to identify a need like Jerry did and go to Africa. Now, I went to Africa in 2018, Ghana, but my need was to just learn about the country, to just learn. I didn't, well, we did take some projects over, but, and that was an experience that really changed my life in so many ways. I wish everybody could afford to go to Africa. It is an expensive tour, trip, vacation, whatever you want to call it. It's expensive, but it is worth every minute. And it's just so much to pack in. And Ghana will be the country to visit because they were doing a lot when we were over there. I mean, big time changes in Ghana. So you'll be seeing more and more information about Ghana in travel magazines and newspapers, etc.
And you can always come back and listen in to the show. See, I told you all.
I have
you both are world travelers.
I have a lot of pictures, and one day I'm going to put it together, a PowerPoint presentation, and present to the community.
Thank you, Yvonne McShay. I did want to ask you one question. You've written 3 books, going on your 4th book, and we're going to hear that coming real soon. Ms. Williams is working on her, I believe, her memoir. I don't know if she's going to let us call it, if it's going to be called a memoir. But what advice would you, as an author, give to this storytelling, journalism major attorney? What advice would you give her? Because sometimes it's just not easy to get a book published.
Well, not only published, that comes later. What you have to do is just write. Once you get it down, then you start worrying about publishing. Because it's a journey, and it's solitary. I mean, it's lonely writing. And you have to choose the best time of day for you to write. So what have you decided? I think you're already writing the book, aren't you, Jerry?
I have completed the manuscript.
Okay.
I started it out as a memoir. It was Mandela and Me, because I thought that was so very special.
That's powerful. That's a powerful title.
But it expanded from that because I said nobody knows who me is, and in detailing who me is to the extent that people could appreciate it, because I'm not Oprah, I'm not Michelle, I'm not Hillary. I'm like, well, who is me? I mean, I know, but who the other people wouldn't know. And in talking about who is me, doing the research, I really found out a lot about me that I didn't know, because I've been able to go back 5 generations. And that is very significant. Putting together those stories, those tales, what happened and who married whom and how that went, it slowed me down, because now I am dealing with an autobiography, which is okay. But then, as thorough as I am, okay, I found that I was writing her biography. And she is my original African mother. So I was able to bring her over from Africa to Virginia, where she was purchased. Then she became the mother of a mulatto child who ended up in Florida. And from that child, I wanted to convey the notion that she was more than the result of a rape, that she was more than just the child of an unnamed African girl. And what I found is that 4 of her descendants integrated the universities here in the state of Florida. 2 of us integrated the University of Florida, and 2 were part of the integration at Florida State University. In fact, those over at Florida State have a bronze statue commemorating their contribution to the university. That's significant. So you see, in writing about my experiences and writing about me, I find out that, boy, it's much bigger. I finally, and I got a lot of help from genealogists and people who were willing to work with me. I didn't know how to look up, do the research, that kind of research, but they were willing to help me, and I finally got it written. It's written. Now they're telling me, the young people are telling me I've got to go on the digital stage.
Yes, yes.
Blogs, and I've got to do them. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to spell that stuff. But I am ready. The manuscript is prepared, and that's very interesting. I know you're a writer because, I'm finding out that I am. I will get up at maybe 2 o'clock in the morning and read. And then I may read at 6 p.m. To see if I'm seeing the same thing, if I'm getting the same feeling. And it's so important for me because I want the readers to appreciate this woman's contribution to the U.S. Society.
Awesome. I think that's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait to read this book. And you both have been gifted with one of my goddaughters, Jeanette Diva J. Howard Smith. When you talk about branding your business, your book, when you talk about the social media platform, she is our in-house guru. And you both have had the chance to meet her virtually. She's looking forward to working with you. So you know she's only a phone call away. I know Yvonne McShay may have already made her appointment for her next coming book. And that's one of my gifts. Is as I listen to the two of you, and especially Ms. Williams talking about getting to know who is me. And I would have just glossed right over this, but earlier this month, I got a call from a member of one of our church members, and she said, the New Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church of Tampa, Florida, where my pastor is Reverend Larry L. Roundtree II, straight out of Lakeland.
Yeah.
And wanted to honor me for Women's History Month. And I just wanted that to go to somebody else. I just feel in my heart that there were just so many other people more deserving of such an honor. And she just began to pull the questions out of me. And she said, oh, I see what this is. You just don't like talking about yourself and you won't toot your own horn. Well, I will toot it for you. And sometimes that's what it takes. But as I was listening to her and I read the article and I thought, no, Cheryl, it isn't about you. It's about that God-given talent that he has blessed you with so that you, Cheryl, can be a blessing to others. So I was finally able to say, okay, and certainly a special thank you to them for that honor. You guys can find it on the church's Facebook page. But back to listening to you talk about your community and helping my family. My mother's family is from Greensboro, North Carolina. My father's family is straight out of Lakeland. And the Grady, Graddy, the Grady and Junior. Okay. And my aunt, and we are just entrepreneurs. My aunt was Grace Johnson. Her husband was Sam Johnson. Now, he had a business, a barbershop on, I believe it was New York Avenue. Mr. Bull and then she taught English Grace Johnson, she taught English. And so they lived there. My grandmother's brother was, we called him Uncle Pep, but William Pep Grady was the longest tenured employee at People's Bank. I don't even know if the bank is still standing.
I know Brother Grady. We went to the same church.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So when I hear you talk about our Lakeland, and I remember, I think I still have the copy, a huge article was written about him. How does this man who came to Lakeland the way he did, the family came from a turpentine industry, and to go to work as a janitor with this bank and continue to greet people every single day, and actually retired from that bank. So when I hear you talk about family and culture and learning your history and giving them their just due, it's more than just about me, meaning me, the person. God has called each of us with a purpose. And for us to fulfill that purpose, he's given me the gift to connect people. And I've done it from a child. I never thought it was a gift, but I'm appreciating it today as I listen to the two of you and how important it is for us to go back and learn our history. We're going through the Ancestry.com now history piece so that we can have those pieces and fill them in and fill in the gaps for the next generation. But I do want to say to both of you, you're not just my Sheroes. You are Sheroes to the masses. You are our aunties, our sisters, our mothers. My heart is just overwhelmed when I listen to you talk about what you had to go through as not just the first, but the only. I encountered that in high school during segregation, in corporate America, but those were doors that God just kept opening, kept opening, kept opening. But nothing like what you all have gone through. And here you are at a time in your life where you could really just sit back on a beach somewhere and just enjoy. And you both have projects that you're waiting to bring back to your people. You're waiting to bring back to your community. Yes, go ahead.
Let me share with you and Yvonne that I have a connection with Lakeland.
I knew it.
It's not a family connection, let me tell you. I'm really, really a big fan of Frank Lloyd Wright, the architect.
Oh, yes. So
they know me at Florida Southern College because I carry so many people over there to tour the Frank Lloyd Wright buildings. I learned about Frank Lloyd Wright at the University of Florida in humanities. And I came back home after the first trimester and told my dad he had to take down the division between the living room and the dining room. And he said, well, why do I have to take down that wall? I said, well, Frank Lloyd Wright said. He said, well, who is Frank Lloyd Wright? But I really, really enjoyed that. And my second location there is the Hollis Gardens. Now,
yes.
I mean, I take everybody there. I can show them all the segments of the garden. I know when everything is going to be in bloom. I really enjoy Lakeland. I do. Just want to let you know that.
Oh, thank you so much, Jerry. Jerry, those are some of my favorite places as well. You know, some days when I was tired and kind of drained and felt alone, I would go to Hollis Garden and just sit and meditate and look at the water and just meditate and
listen to the
Lord.
And listen to the classical music.
Yeah.
Listen, we're going to have to make a date. And so
I'm about to invite you girls over. You
will. And we're going to invite you over when we go over to Jerry Williams' place. But let me tell you.
I would love that.
Let me say, again, I was trying to say my thank yous to you. And you already know how I feel. So on behalf of Let's Talk Business with Cheryl J. Cuso, my co-host Diva J, In Touch News Radio, we thank you for spending this hour with us today. We look forward to hearing more about what you're doing. We're going to put your book online as we did before so that people can purchase your books. And that's how we support each other. I do want to take this time. I do have a couple announcements. This is a show, Catch the Show, that's all up in your business. The PPP program, Paycheck Protection Program, has been extended thanks to President Biden through the end of May 31st. So if you have not put your application in for some financial assistance for yourself, your business, your staff, now is your employees the time to do it. Today is a very special day to me. I'm one of 9 siblings, and what we would call our knee baby brother is turning 59 today. So Cleveland Anthony Jennings Sr., happy birthday! Who happens to be living now in Cleveland, Ohio, in his namesake. So we wanted to make sure that we got those 2 announcements. We're going to put the other announcement about the bootstrap camp that's happening here to help business owners with their businesses. We can't do it without what you all have shared with us. Miss Williams, you've been a business owner. You've had a law practice. As a matter of fact, when I met you, you were already an attorney practicing law. And you've helped so many. I thank both of you because you both have blessed DSI Black Pages, my publication. Long before I became the publisher, you were an advertiser, Miss Williams, with your law firm. And we are so pleased to now be able to add some new and exciting things about your life in our upcoming edition and our Black Business app. We'll get to put your book on it. And to you, Yvonne McShay, who has been an advertiser with your book, and you're still listed in DSI Black Pages. So we're looking forward to your new book. Ladies, we thank you today. This show, happy Easter, happy Resurrection Sunday. This show is a wrap.
Same to you, my sister.
Thank you.